Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. This is your host, Iggy, and today we're going to be talking about the American Revolutionary War and figures made for that conflict by Armies in Plastic. Now, Armies in Plastic was hard to track down online. I was able to find their official website, and there I read that they are going to switch their operations from China to the United States. So, in the near future, if not already, they will be designing, manufacturing, packaging, and distributing their figures all from the United States. Now, Armies in Plastic is unique in that they cover lesser known wars and conflicts in human history. Um, this is the header card that came with the British troops that I'll be showing you momentarily. And on the back, it shows some of the things they cover. And it's interesting to see that they have listed here the Russian Civil War, the Russo-Japanese War, the Boer War, the Egyptian Camel Corps. I mean, these are not normally subjects that are covered by toy soldier manufacturers. So I think that's kind of neat that they do that. But today we're going to be talking about the American Revolution. So let's get right into it. Now, the Armies in Plastic sets come 20 per bag in 10 different poses. And in the grouping of poses, they have 4 that are firing their rifles, and I have those up over on this end here. See if I can move the camera a little closer. We have a traditional firing line figure. He's got his heels together. And then we have the kneeling figure. And then there's a third figure, which is this one here. And he has his legs, I guess the word is splayed or spread, I'm not sure. Anyway, the set comes with an officer. Let me take him down. And what I liked about him is instead of holding a telescope, which most figures do when they try and depict a officer of this time period, he's got a rolled up map that you can see right there. So I thought that was unique and sort of a fun variation. The set comes with charged bayonets, advancing quick time, loading. Let's see if I can get a closer look for you so you can see what those figures look like over here. Okay. Now, one thing I like about these figures is that on each figure, they have it stamped, and it'll say Armies in Plastic, the year it was manufactured, and where it was manufactured, which I think is, those are things I always like to know. So it says Armies in Plastic, 2005, and made in China. Now, in addition to infantry that you see here, they also made artillery and cavalry figures. Now, you might wonder, well, why aren't you showing the American infantry? Well, it's the exact same figures. They just molded them in a different color. And the same thing with their cavalry. They do the same thing. The only difference I could find in the sets was with the artillery. And in that case, the French artillery is an 8-pounder, and the American artillery is a mortar, which you can see here. Let me turn the camera so you can see it. There it is there. It's a mortar. It's cast in a dark British racing green color. And this is supposed to be American Continental Artillery. And you'll see in just a moment when I show you the French artillery that it's the same figures. And here is what appears to be a broken gun. I just, it popped out. Like a little tiny howitzer thing. Is kind of cool. But let me show you the French one. Well, first, before I do that, I'll show you the header card that the French gun came in. That's here. And it says Yorktown, 1781. Now, interestingly enough, a lot of people think the American Revolution ended in 1781 with the surrender of Lord Cornwallis. But the British actually occupied New York Harbor until 1783. And there was a great deal of fighting at sea as the French and the British started jockeying for overseas possessions and fishing rights, or commercial treaties or and whatnot. So there might have been skirmishing after the surrender of Cornwallis, but the fighting on the American continent sort of petered out with the surrender of the British at Yorktown. The cavalry is problematic in that, okay, here's the figure. Let me show you why this is a problem. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a hole in his back, in the horse's back. And what you need to do is get the saddle comes with a hole in it. And you're supposed to put your saddle on the horse. And then your cavalry figure, which I have here, has a peg between his legs. You can see that there. And he fits, well, the problem is with the saddle on, he's not long enough to fit into the hole in the horse's back, so he keeps falling off. So that's why I showed him without, see, it fits okay like that, but not with the saddle on him. And now I want you guys to give me 10 points for not making inappropriate jokes while I talked about that. So the next thing I'm going to talk about, and the final thing, is the difference between the sculpting in 2005 and the sculpting of 2009. And sorry, I hit the table with my knee. So let's let's try this. We'll take this guy here. He's firing. Presumably he's firing. What is the manual of arms for revolution? I think it's ready, present, fire. Is that it? Is it 3 commands? Ready, present, fire? At any rate, look at the difference between what we have here is 2005, ... and 2009, ... Now, this 2009 figure is from the French and Indian War, and he's light infantry, and he's the same figure as the John Stark Rangers and the Rogers Rangers. He's wearing a bonnet. And there's a myth about the American Revolution that the British fought only in linear combat style, which is not true. The British were just as adaptable in North America as the Americans were. They sent these light infantry figures out as skirmishers, and they could fight in the woods, and they were capable of bushwhacking supply columns and capturing patrols and whatnot, using techniques that were developed by the woodland Indians that were quite suitable for the forest. They still continued with the linear combat, and part of the reasoning for that is that when you have large groups of men, control becomes an issue, because if you remember, at this time they didn't have radios. Everything had to be handwritten messages, and that could take considerable time. So if you kept your men in line formation, it was easier to control them. You might suffer greater casualties, but you had greater control over them. Okay, guys, that's it for Armies in Plastic. I would recommend these if you want to set up a Revolutionary War scenario. I do like the Ron Barzo, or LOD. I guess he sold out to LOD and his molds and whatnot. And their figures are excellent. I would recommend those. The Last of the Mohican figures if you're doing the French and Indian War and whatnot. I do like the Armies in Plastic artillery. I really do like those quite well. In the past, I've been using artillery produced by Marx for their Revolutionary War set. But I think this gun is perhaps... Oops, he's stuck. I think this gun is perhaps superior to that. Okay, guys, that's me, Iggy. Thank you for getting Iggy with it. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And for those of you already enlisted, thank you for returning for another episode. Goodbye, guys. Take care of each other and be good.